We are sitting around in the airport here in Mangshe Dehong, Yunnan, China. We're actually leaving at the end of my contract. I've just taught for 1 full year, which is, say, 2 university semesters. And it popped into my mind, I'm sorry if you get some noise pollution, you may hear some announcements overhead while we're sitting around here at the airport, that I could actually do a video just sort of about the structure and procedure surrounding getting hired at a Chinese university, if you want to teach English at the university level in China. And I don't know what that entails, both for getting the job and then once you have the job. So just yesterday I was saying to my girlfriend Melissa, we had a farewell dinner. So at the end of the contract, many of the professors, not all. How many professors came to the dinner? Like 6 professors? 1, 2, 3, 4?
7, I think.
About 6, something like that?
7, yeah.
Okay. So a bunch of the professors took me out for dinner to say goodbye. The students were actually supposed to meet me at the airport to say goodbye to me here at the airport, at the gate, before I got in the plane to leave. That didn't work out, but whatever. It's the thought that counts. And I also showed my girlfriend, just because we were packing the other day, the actual contract I have and the life insurance and other benefits I have. Health insurance, life insurance. So I just point out that in general, I get paid more than a real Chinese professor with a PhD. Like one of the women we met at the dinner last night had a PhD. And I get really all the benefits of being a professor. Okay, not all. I can't publish articles in an academic journal here. But I get a surprising number of the benefits of being a real professor in China just as an English teacher inside the university system. Now, reciprocal with that, or conversely, or the other side of it, whatever you want to say, to what extent is my work at the same level as a real professor in China, a real person with a PhD? One of the few things that bugged me here, I think I mentioned this to you a couple months ago, babe, when my exams are scheduled, my exams were scheduled in normal class time and not during the exam break.
Right. And
I just said, why? You know, this is a real course. I think my students do more work in my course than I do for a normal Chinese language course or a normal course with a Chinese professor. And I said, why shouldn't they have their exam for my class instead of just taking up one of our classes, taking up normal class time? Now, I'm sure they have their reasons. I would guess that it's probably because of their arrangements in terms of how the exams are invigilated and scheduled, and I might have to cooperate with other people. By the way, sorry, we're here at this airport. We're the only foreigners here. You know, babe, when I was just outside now, some of these women were actually taking photographs of me.
Yeah.
So secretively, too. They didn't ask my permission. Sometimes people ask your permission.
Yeah, that happens very often here in Mangshe.
Oh, secretively? Yeah?
Yeah,
I get asked
I see
permission.
that all the time when we're walking around, like people with their cell phones
people,
are just like...
People are snapping pictures of the foreigners.
Trying to be nonchalant.
Okay, I guess I mostly just notice it when people actually ask me, but all right, cool. But if people were secretly photographing me while I was out in the porch here. So there are some ways in which, and that's obviously from the top down, there's some ways in which from the organizational level on down, my course is not treated as seriously as a real course taught by a real professor. So that shows in how the exams are scheduled. It's also true I don't have to do staff meetings. I don't have to do kind of what would be a waste of time for me. Whether those are, I mean, some of the staff meetings here are completely psychological prep sessions. Some of them are completely political, and some combine the two. And then some concern technical workings about how what the department's doing that I couldn't contribute to. So to give an example, you remember Grace, our friend and also kind of my boss. But a senior professor here. But she's very friendly to us. One day she had to go to a meeting. It took all day, so she was like late to talk to us or something.
Yeah.
Because they took her to a graveyard to see the corpses of heroes who had died fighting the Japanese. Right, fighting against the Japanese in World War II or the Sino-Japanese War, right? And why did they do that? They did that to try to inspire the professors to work harder this semester, right? So again, a kind of a mix of like psychological and political. Like, you know, what's this meeting about? We're going to a graveyard. So I don't do any of that stuff. I think so. There are a couple things to mention right now. 2017, 2018. What do you want to say, babe?
No, this little girl is going to sit down.
Okay, cool. That guy dropped 5 quiet. You see that?
Oh,
you want me to tell him? There's a guy who just dropped 5 quiet on the floor. Okay, so I'll do a good deed here. Hold on. So there you go. Guy dropped 5 quiet and I pointed out to him. I think, so right now, 2017, 2018, it is incredibly easy to get yourself hired if you have a bachelor's degree if you have the basic qualifications, if you can do the paperwork and come over and teach. They have a crisis in being able to hire foreign teachers. I'm not going to explain why. It comes down to paperwork and legal changes and details. They're just not worth explaining here. But right now is an incredibly easy time to get work semester by semester. Obviously, they hire on a semester basis. You know, it's tied to the academic calendar, so you can't just sign up anytime. But it is a really easy time to get a job here. Thing one, they always want to interview you face-to-face. Of course, some of them are going to be resigned to interviewing you by Skype, but most of the time they do want you to fly over and interview face-to-face. I don't think people here in general actually expect you to teach a demo lesson. There's no interest in that, which is a difference from Japan or a difference from some other cultures. They don't expect you to teach class. There is zero interest on the part of the professors in observing you teaching class. That's one of the strangest things here. And that can work in your favor, it can work against you. Like, I'm proud of my classes. I'd be totally happy if senior professors came and watched me teach English. But the sense in which can work against you is, like, let's say a couple of students complain about the way you teach class. Your bosses, the people in charge, they have nothing to compare that to. Then they only know what the student says about you, right?
Yeah.
Nobody is senior. Nobody's going to. Nobody's going to come inspect or invigilate your class or watch you teach. At no stage, neither at the application stage, hiring stage, nor during the whole year of teaching. So, I mean, that's strange. You can be prepared for that, obviously. They do expect you to show up and teach on day one as if you're completely prepared. They will not give you any training. They will not give you any instruction. They will not give you any guidance. I think I mentioned that in an earlier video. They expect you to just show up, unpack your suitcase, and start teaching. Again, I was completely fine with that. But you, for example, wouldn't have been. No. Sorry, so my girlfriend Melissa is now 25. But, you know, if you had just shown up to teach, you needed some kind of transition program. That's, again, a big contrast to the Japanese. The Japanese are very enthusiastic about team building and job training and training on the job and evaluation. None of that happens over here. But I think the main thing I want to warn people about making this video is when you're first applying for the job, so they will want you to fly over and do a face-to-face interview if it's at all possible. Those people, the people who interview you initially by email, by Skype, and face-to-face, they will be in the International Outreach Department of the university. So that's sometimes going to be called the Foreign Affairs Department or something like that. But the weirdest thing is those people are going to be really friendly and really helpful, and they're going to be a big part of your life during this first setup stage, and then they completely disappear. And when you meet them, most of them are professors, so you're not expecting that to happen. So, like, you know, I met Professor Chen and Professor Lee, who you saw last night, right? Those are the people who worked with me at the beginning, because they were in international affairs, foreign affairs, whatever you want to call it, the International Outreach Office. So they're the people who interviewed me and hired me, and they set up the flight, you know, for me to fly over and do the interview and fly back and this kind of stuff. They did all that fussing. And then they were vapor, they disappeared. And that's because the responsibility for me is then handed over to the English department or possibly to another department like foreign languages, depending on the arrangement at your university. So for us, we actually have, foreign languages, and then we have ethnic minority languages from within China. We have a couple of different departments handling these things. So, I mean, there are some things like that you can kind of watch out for. I don't know. Do you have anything you want to pop in and say? I mean...
you'll probably get job offers to teach English if you have a bachelor's degree. Because when I came to visit you in February, I got offered 3 different jobs in a matter of 2 weeks. That's
a point.
And from what I've experienced, Chinese people are really, they're really gung-ho about making connections with people. So, you know, if... at least here in Mongsha, you know, I don't know about other places in China.
I think in other places even more so, but go on, it's true.
Like if one Chinese person knows a foreigner, they're going to tell like every other person they know that is interested in learning English or teaching English that there isn't a foreigner. Like there is somebody that you could potentially hire to be a teacher.
Well, I would just mention your job offers included one that was university level teaching, and those there are only 2 universities in Dehong, in Mongsha anyway. So, you know, like, it's not like you could have had more. But yeah, that's an interesting question. If we'd been in Kunming, maybe you would have gotten a bunch of offers from universities, maybe not. But the attitudes are having to change now, because I remember how it was 10 years ago, and definitely even just 1 year ago when I was in Kunming, a lot of the universities in Kunming pretended as if they had plenty of foreigners to take on these jobs, as if there were a lot of foreigners competing for the few jobs teaching at the university level specifically. Today, that's definitely not true, and that's going to be less and less true. Now, I think it was kind of, I don't know why they were so self-confident even 1 year ago in Kunming, because I saw the reality of who those teachers were face to face. They were a pretty sad sack bunch, including a lot of these 65-year-old guys, the guys who are trying teaching at the end of their careers, had no background and so on.
Right.
If you want the job, the thing I generally say, that I generally warn people is, it's really only worth doing if you're here to learn Chinese, or if you're here to learn some other language. You could learn Burmese out here. We're out here on the border with Myanmar. You could learn some other languages, an ethnic minority language or what have you, depending on what part of China you're in. But the educational component of it for you can be rewarding. But no, there's absolutely no sense in which the other components of it are rewarding enough, neither financially nor otherwise. I mean, that is fundamentally why it'll be so hard for them to get foreigners to come and teach here. If you're down for this job in mainland China, you're better off doing the same job in Japan, in South Korea, in Taiwan, obviously in the Western world, in Europe. There's just no compelling argument to do it, unless it's for your own education in terms of language education. But other than that, I just emphasize again, you are given all the benefits of being a real professor here, or almost all of them. I'm paid more than my own boss. I was earning 5,000 kwai a month. My boss, a senior professor who'd been a professor there for 10 years approximately, was earning only 4,000 kwai a month. And I was a little bit shocked when I first learned that. Mm-hmm. And otherwise, people do really make an effort, whether going out to dinner with you, trying to find other work opportunities for you, trying to set you up with side hustles with other jobs outside.
Yeah.
People do a pretty good job of taking care of you. Mm-hmm. But all of that relies on, one, of course, you have to have a BA minimum, and you have to speak Chinese. You have to speak enough Chinese to get by, right? And if you don't, then this would just be insanity to come over here and do this without speaking at least kind of level 3 Chinese or something. Mm-hmm. That would really be suicidal. It'd be impossible for you to survive out here. And yeah, we felt that the other day. We bumped into 2 foreigners in downtown Mangsha, which never happens because there are no foreigners. And we were shocked. It was one black guy and one white guy. They neither spoke Chinese nor English. And we just thought, how do they survive even one day? You know, if you can't speak English, of course, it's fine if you can speak Chinese. But they couldn't speak Chinese and they couldn't speak English.
Yeah.
And they were wandering around hopelessly trying to find a money changer, which also doesn't exist in Mangsha. Mangsha is a small city. There are no foreigners here, so there is no money changer.
Right.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that's it. That's my guidance about that.